That's the double salute you need. You want this morning. You go, no, I did that like 40 times last night.
Well, then grab the aspirin, get the coffee going, fry up the bacon and eggs. You know this.
It is your Saturday morning hangover cure time, people. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, your favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary podcast. I heard, Dave, that I believe either the Golden Globes or the Emmys are now going to feature Best Podcast of the Year. And I'm throwing our names in the hat, in the ring right now.
Does that mean we have to start kissing Hollywood ass?
I don't know, but if I go on the red carpet, buttless chaps. Buttless chaps! We'll call my old buddy David Lee Roth and get some buttless chaps.
And there you go.
And now we're trying to help them through their Saturday morning. They're puking right now with that image firmly entrenched in their brains.
Get those tequila shots out of the body.
Yes.
Here it is, coming to you on May 10th, 2025.
Yep. Your Uncle Dave and I have a jam-packed show for you here to get you through Saturday morning. Don't remember the rejection from last night. Don't linger on the bad things that might have happened to you last night. Think about the positive. Think about your Uncle Dave and I and what awesome role models we are for you.
That's right. And just because the number you did get is now smudged and you can't tell if that was a 3 or an 8, there you go.
And you wrote down the fact that she was a 10?
How late in the night was it?
Yes.
And
maybe you forgot to add a couple extra zeros to that for her weight? But that's, Dave, what do we always start off with to get the kids
it's all
into the
about
mood?
music, baby. It's all about the rock and roll.
So this week we are back to doing our regular album reviews. Are we doing that? We've got some lined up for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So
yeah, we got some good stuff coming up.
Yep. So this week it's the new album. Unfortunately, he did not make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, but Billy Idol, his brand new album, Dream Into It.
Yep, 9 songs, 1 rehash from his previous album that he turned into a duet is in there.
All right. So I am going to be brutally honest. This is one of the most boring albums I've listened to from a major artist in a long, long time.
Oh, thank God! I thought it was just me.
No.
It
You take away the final song, the last song, which of course was the first single, Still Dancing. He sounds disinterested.
Yeah.
The album is lifeless. It's toothless. It's got nothing.
There's no... Where's Billy Idol?
Yeah.
Where is Billy's grit?
The first song, you start with the first song, Dream Into It. I'm like, is this a Human League album? Is this Love and Rockets? What is this?
I will say, Too Much Fun could have been so much better if he put more of his pop into it. This should have been a rocking tune, and it came out mid-tempo.
Almost all of them come off like that.
Yeah. It's...
Yeah, great line in Too Much Fun. They told me pick your poison, so I drank every one.
Yeah.
It's like, that's an awesome... But
the
he
lyrics
just sounds like he's
the lyrics
reciting.
are there, the music is not.
No, and barely do you get any Steve Stevens great guitar work on this album. And he just sounds like he's just reading it off a page, the lyrics. He just sounds like it's words by numbers.
Yeah.
It's just so disheartening.
It's so bad. It's woefully underproduced.
And then you get 5 songs in. Okay, Wild Side, with Joan Jett. This has got to be
This
good.
should. You expect it to be a knockdown, drag-out rocker.
And they both sound like
whatever.
they're on their way to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And they just
There's
decided...
no wild side to that one.
No.
And it's the fourth song, John Wayne, that you got off of Idolize Yourself. And it's so much better on Idolize Yourself. This duet with Alison Mozart.
Yeah, Alison Mozart is... She's from the Kills. She's also from Jack White's, one of his side bands, The Dead Weather.
Yeah, she does nothing for this song.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming her because, again, you can say the same thing.
It's the entire thing. The production on this is awful. And I don't know if it's him.
Somebody needed to tell him, are you really interested in doing this album? Or are you just, this is a money grab?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
This feels like a money grab.
Because his previous 2 EPs, at least, you got some of the energy, the old school energy.
Yeah.
The old school Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, punk energy. And you get nothing here.
No.
Nothing.
The only one that should have been this mid-tempo stuff is People I Love. His apology to everybody in his life.
Yeah. That was one of the more least offensive.
Yeah. I kind of like that. I knew what he was trying to go for, and that fit. But still, the rest of it is just like,
Nope, I agree completely. Outside of Still Dancing, again, the final track, the first single. Yeah, People I Love was the only other song I could mildly tolerate.
Yeah. It was just, come on.
No, this is...
I cannot recommend this at all.
And you're only giving us 9 songs?
8. Because one is a rehash.
Right. So, yeah, unfortunately, a weak 1.5 Frenzies.
Yeah. Very weak
This
1.5.
was very disappointing. And
this was one of my anticipated albums for this year.
Yeah.
And
again, it's so depressing to hear somebody like Billy Idol come out of the gates with an album like this where it just... He sounds awful. He sounds old, no energy, again, disinterested.
Yeah. It's just not what we expected.
Yeah. Hated this. I honestly, this album, I was with you. Looking forward to this album so much this year. I hate the fact that this is so bad.
Yeah, it's a major disappointment.
Yep. Now, in music news, a couple things we should discuss before we move on, because we need a lot of time for movies. The great, the glorious return of one David Lee Roth. His set at the M3 Festival was so fantastic.
Reports are Diamond Dave is back.
So he has got a 21-date U.S. tour set up. As he says, that was just my first retirement.
Yeah.
But the thing I've heard is that he is smart enough to understand he needs the backing vocalist to pick him up.
Yep.
At points where he can't hit the notes he used to.
Yeah.
But his M3 festival set was entirely Van Halen. No solo stuff. So he was digging deep into the first 6 albums.
He knows what the fans want.
I'm telling you, people love Sammy. Oh, Sammy Hagar's such a great guy, so awesome.
No, he's not.
Dave's smarter than he gets credit for.
Yes, he is.
He'll wade into these wars occasionally, but he knows his flaws. He knows what he needs in terms of what will make him money, what will make him relevant, what will make him popular again. Whether it's all the YouTube videos and all these revamped versions of
stuff that he does.
While Sammy just goes out there and bitches and pisses and moans about everybody. Dave's
Yep.
got a stealth mode right now going on. This is a stealth attack.
Yeah.
He is going to show Sammy Hagar, who is doing his residency right now. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. Maybe I did. So David Lee Roth is going out playing all his old Van Halen stuff. The true Van Halen stuff. The stuff that I love. Sammy's doing the residency, and he's playing a lot of old Van Halen from his era.
Yeah.
But when he occasionally plays the Dave stuff, the first night, he brought Keisha out to sing Ain't Talking About Love.
Oh, come on.
You brought Keisha out to sing arguably one of the greatest Van Halen songs ever? You bitch.
Sammy.
And I'm talking about Sammy, not Keisha.
Sammy, you don't
whore out Van Halen songs to other people. You sing it, Mikey sings it, or you don't sing it at all.
Exactly.
I don't want any guest singers. I don't care if you're in Las Vegas.
No.
I don't want to hear Keisha doing Ain't Talking About Love. So right now...
Forever unclean.
Yes. David Lee Roth, again, has the upper hand. That's why I'm saying stealth mode. He sat there in the weeds waiting for this moment.
How's this? All right. Boom. Mic drop.
Yep.
What was our old segment, Sammy or Dave, when we had a choice to make?
Yes. yes. Another classic cable access Van Halen conundrum that we would do every week. We would, of course, use it for other things, sports and pop culture. But yes, Sammy or Dave.
Which would you prefer?
Yep. Dave he knows. And I'm telling you, I looked at that set list from the M3. Oh, dude.
So good.
Romeo Delight. I'm the one. Oh.
And unfortunately...
Drop Dead Legs.
Yeah. And a conundrum. The date that we would have been able to go to.
Yes, locally here.
We have purchased tickets, about a month ago?
Yep.
For Shinedown that same night with Bush.
Yeah. So we will not, unfortunately, unless he adds more dates, be able to go see David Lee Roth this time around. But we would have goddamn well been there.
Yep, absolutely.
If we could have. And possibly news, you might have heard this already. As you're listening to this on May the 10th, we're recording late on May the 7th. Big news conference, press conference, supposedly coming on May the 8th. Yes, they're going to do it again. I think this will be the third or the fourth farewell tour for the
for the
Who.
We'll see what happens.
I want to see them.
Yep.
If ticket prices are reasonable.
Yeah.
I would like, because when we saw them before,
it was very enjoyable.
Yes. Very good show.
Yep. Don't know if you've heard, Soundgarden is set to release the final album they had recorded with Chris Cornell.
Yeah,
they're working on production, but they do plan to release it finally.
Yeah, there've been a lot of legal hassles about that between Cornell's widow and the other members, the surviving members of Soundgarden. It would be a shame if we don't get that album.
We need to have it.
Yes. So that would be a fitting epitaph to the great and the glorious career of Chris Cornell, especially now with Soundgarden getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yes, and we need as much new music as we can get. More. Please give us more. And speaking of which, next week, kind of sort of going to have new music. Counting Crows.
Yep, some new, mixed with
some music that
from
we've
a couple
had
years ago.
Yeah. Butter Miracle, The Complete Suites will be our featured album review. 9 songs, 4 that were released years ago as Suite 1, We've heard 2
from Sweet
so far.
2.
So we will have a few new songs that we've never heard before.
Yep.
So it's going to be an interesting review. And then, of course, we've got brand new music from Mammoth.
The End. Kids, you have to go on YouTube and check out the video for this. It's frickin' brilliant.
It's a tribute to everybody. It's a tribute to Michael Jackson and Thriller and his father and Miles Kennedy and Slash and his mom and his wife.
And From Dusk to Dawn.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, it's just absolutely awesome.
Yeah. No sticks. Brushes. Play some ballads.
Ballads. Quiet. A lot of the people here are sensitive to loud noises.
So we will review the brand new song from Mammoth, The End, next week, along with another kind of sort of new song from Green Day, from the Saviors Expanded Edition, Ballyhoo. I think really...
From them, shouldn't it be Ballyhoo, hoo, hoo?
Well, I think you and I, we respect what we grew up with when it comes to Green Day. You know, when we were in our early 20s.
Green Day.
Yeah. We loved Dookie and, you know, all the great stuff back then. And they become so political, and Billy Joe Armstrong is such an asshat now. And their last handful of albums haven't been good.
No, they've been rehashes of everything.
Revolution Radio was the last good album they had.
Yeah.
So all these new songs they're putting out, tacking on to Saviors. We'll review it. We will do our best. But still.
Yeah.
Feels like you're helping out an old friend who's fallen on hard times.
Who's maybe going through some dementia issues.
Yes.
Forgetting who they are.
And by the way, with going back to Mammoth, great for Wolfie that he was finally able to get the clear copyright. So now it's just Mammoth.
Yes. Yep. Straight up Mammoth.
It is not Mammoth
beautiful.
WVH anymore. He now pays complete and total tribute to his father.
Yep.
And the band. Because now he is Mammoth, which was one of the early names of Van Halen.
Yep. So good for him to get that worked out.
Yep. All right, so we move on to TV and streaming. Yes, I let Dave down when it comes to books, so we don't have a book review this week.
That's all right.
Next week we will review last year's Hap and Leonard novel, Sugar on the Bones, in anticipation of this fall's Hatchet Girls, the next Hap and Leonard novel. But for now, you're going to have to just deal with TV and streaming, and then a ton of movie reviews.
Lots and lots.
So I am caught up on Tracker. So we have one episode to go, even as the kids are listening to this on Saturday morning, May the 10th, tomorrow night.
The season finale.
Yes.
And I will say, I'm surprised. I had fully expected the last 2 to be a continuation. I fully expected the finale to be continued from this past week.
Yep.
The way it looked like it was set up. But color me surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I thought the same thing. I really did. And I expected, I guess, a little bit more out of the family mystery. They basically dropped that in on you the first 5 minutes, and then they went on to the main storyline.
Yeah, the drop of the family mystery, and then the final looking at it is going to lead, I think, into the finale.
Yep. And I still love
subtle
his
setup.
sister. I love his sister so much. Oh. Literally.
She's pretty.
She was made for me. The next future ex Mrs. Crane.
You've got like 3 of those.
Sorry,
right
Haley.
now.
Sorry, Haley. Well, Jennifer Aniston's out of the picture now.
Oh, that's right.
She's forever unclean now.
That's right.
Multiple reasons. So it's Haley. It's Coulter Shaw's sister. And Alexandra Daddario's number one. That is now my, yes. She, oh my God, those eyes. Oh my God, those bewitching, wonderful.
Those crystal
yes.
blue.
Yes, and I'm not even talking about her perfect boobs.
No, her eyes.
I'm not an eye guy. I am not an eye guy. She has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in my life.
If you think back to the monkeys, with the eye sparkle.
Yes.
She's got that naturally. They just sparkle.
Yes. Yes. She is absolutely wonderful. So, you out there in Hollywood, you casting directors, you studios, put her in as much crap, well,
as many good films as you can.
Put her in as many films as you can with the least amount of clothes that you can find for her. Sorry. Yes. I'm a pig. I'm a pig. But yes, Tracker, we are one episode away from the season 2 finale. Okay, I'm gonna continue to be a pig. All right, for a minute. Number one, I love the actress. I want to say her name is Roxborough. She has been on Manifest on NBC, and she was recently in The Hunting Party on NBC. And I dig her vibe, man. I just love her. But, God help me, maybe it's been a long time. But watching Rainey parade around in that tight white sweat shirt thing she had going on, she got some things going on under there that I wouldn't mind exploring. I wouldn't mind tracking down.
She got a little bounce in her step.
Yeah. She's a little plump, but that's okay. More cushion for the pushing. She still acts
there
like...
you go.
I don't know if it's her as an actress or what, but the whole Pris thing, between the way she and the way she holds the phone, I'm just like, oh my God.
It's the same thing from the prostitute character she played in Bosch Legacy.
So that you're saying that's probably
her mannerisms, the way she carries the purse and
the phone and
everything.
Yeah,
that's her mannerisms.
I like her mannerisms. I think the left one might be a little bit bigger than the the right one, but I love those mannerisms.
You need to do an up-close study just to make sure.
Yes,
maybe a hands-on.
I do. Here's a question for you, as Tracker fans. Now, we know they have a history. Her and Coulter do. Are they going to ever get back together?
We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I'm stirring the pot.
She seems to like her lawyer boyfriend.
Oh, you know he's going to end up there. He's already kind of playing around the edges of some dirty shit.
Yes, he is.
So,
what he just got her involved in, and
maybe she's a lesbian, and she goes with Velma, whatever her name is.
Velma, or
sorry.
Yeah.
When I think lesbian, I think Velma. I'm giving Dave a headache, so we have to move on.
And what is it in the cosplay world where all the women dress up as Velma, but nobody dresses up like Daphne?
Yeah. Would love to see some Daphne. More
Daphne cosplay. Come on.
Then, of course, we are working our way through. Dave's already prepared for season 3 of Dark Winds. I am now 2 episodes through. Interesting setup so far. I'm curious as to where it's going to go. Now you have Manuelita down on the border.
Yep,
working a separate case.
There's 3 story arcs in this one. So you really kind of have to pay attention each episode on the 3 different stories going on.
Yep. And you've got Chi is trying to reconcile his feelings about a man who bullied him in high school and keep his feelings out of the fact that he's dealing with a murder and a missing person
son.
At this point in time.
Yeah.
And then Leaphorn is seeing a legendary demon.
Yep. And Chi's dealing with his stepbrother who bullied him.
Is it stepbrother?
Well, maybe
or have you spoiled something for me?
I couldn't remember which episode it came
in. You spoiled it for me, didn't you? Oh,
maybe.
You spoiler.
I thought it came up in the first 2 episodes. Maybe.
No. Oh, thanks a lot, Dave.
It might be the 3rd episode where an explanation comes in.
Great.
It's not that big of a spoiler.
No, I know. I just got to give you a hard time when I can.
Yes.
So within the next couple weeks, we will review Dark Winds Season 3, kids. If you have not checked this out, you need to. If you have not recorded it on your DVR, it should be hitting Netflix soon.
Yep, the first 2 seasons are on Netflix. Very, very good.
Yep. And of course, Dave and I love our book series with the recurring detectives and police officers. This, of course, falls into that. Tony Hillerman, going all the way back to the early 70s. By the way, last thing on this, I did a little research. The 2 books that they are claiming that Season 3 of Dark Winds are based on, 30 years apart.
Whoa.
So, if you look at the opening credits and look at the 2 books,
see,
one of them
fast forward through the credits. So that's my issue.
You need to learn, Grasshopper. You need to learn to pay attention to the details. One of them is early on in the Tony Hillerman catalog, and one is later on after his
passing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
There
73 and 2003. The 2 books that they say the Season 3 storyline is based off of.
All right.
All right, let's do some news. Now, of course, CBS, we talked about them last week. We praised them, of course, because we're old, so that's our network, right? The old person's network, the old folks network.
Yeah, they've got a few more shows versus the other networks who focus more on the reality bullshit.
Yeah. Well, good news. Good news. Never watched a single moment of it because it was blasphemy to me. And I think it was to you as well. Queen Latifah is not the Equalizer anymore. They have canceled the Equalizer.
It took long enough.
After 5 seasons. But finally...
4 seasons too long.
Our long national nightmare is done.
Aww.
I'm sorry. I could never, ever buy into... You got your problems with Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher.
And we both have problems with Queen Latifah being the Equalizer.
The badass who can beat up everybody. I am not a paragon of physical fitness by any stretch, but Queen Latifah couldn't beat me up. I'm sorry.
Yes, but the original Equalizer, he didn't have to beat anybody up.
Yeah, but he was... See, now you're going to take me down this road. Edward Woodward playing the original Equalizer was smart, cunning.
He was the badass.
Always wearing suits.
The trench coat.
Yes. The gentleman
ultimate spy.
Yeah. And Queen Latifah, oh, I'm a ghetto badass. Sorry. Just never bought into it. Never could buy into it. Never will buy into it.
No, Denzel's the only other person to be able to pull it off.
Right. But Denzel carries class and grace in every role.
Because he brought in the smarts to it.
He kept the heart.
Yes.
The core of the character intact.
Yeah.
He didn't make it a laughing stock. And then, of course, because this is one I took the bullet on, Fox, after just one season, has axed Rescue High Surf.
I watched a grand total of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. I got through, 2 episodes, and I said, nope.
It just not good.
No. Because it had connections to Animal Kingdom.
And it was
not even
close to quality.
Because, again, you let network TV take the edge off of this stuff, and it becomes...
crap.
Yeah, mental pudding is what it is. Then, of course, we got good news that Resident Alien Season 4...
Yes!
Debuting June the 6th on both USA and Sci-Fi.
So looking forward to having Harry back.
More news from CBS. What is it with them and the names? We made fun
of Sheriff Country, which I think is still
they haven't
on
changed
the books
it. Yeah,
for the fall.
They're going forward with that name. The show itself, I don't know, could be good, could be bad, but Sheriff Country is just a terrible name. But now they've even taken their most popular franchise and somehow working title only. They're stressing working title only. But Sheriff Country was a working title only, and they stuck with it. Now, maybe this has got something to do with the fact that they don't want to pay Kevin Costner any money. I don't know.
Probably.
But we discussed a few weeks ago that CBS was going to look into a spin-off of Yellowstone with Casey Dutton.
Right, yeah.
The former Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
So they are going forward with that at mid-season next year. It will debut after, of course, Tracker, so guaranteed hit.
Yeah.
But they're calling it...
Casey?
Oh, no, worse. Worse. Because, again, I don't understand what the motivation... Why?
No,
I'm not kidding you. Why? It's called Why Marshals. Why? Not Yellowstone Marshals. Why?
I thought
Marshals.
Yellowstone was a Tyler Sheridan created.
Me too. Because they always say a Yellowstone saga
from
1923
from Tyler Sheridan.
the one that Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren is in, or the one before that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this one they're calling Why. Why, Marshals. Why don't you just call it Yellowstone Marshals? Why just why? I'm saying why way too much. Why?
The stupidity.
I'm telling you. These fucking millennials. They couldn't come up with an original idea if it bit them on the ass.
All right, why don't we just go Marshall Dutton?
That'd be better. And then that would bring in the older crowd, even though they're probably going to be the ones to watch it anyway.
Because it harkens back to Marshall Dillon.
Yes.
See?
You have to fix everything. I have to fix everything. We have to fix everything. And then, of course, I've already mentioned that Dave and I are big fans of book series and high-level authors because we know goddamn well that Hollywood can't write original stuff.
No, they suck.
So, encouraging news from ABC. They're going forward with a pilot based on Carl Hyacин's Double Whammy, featuring the character R.J. Decker. So,
interesting. We'll see how bad ABC can screw this one up.
Yeah.
Since it's rat related.
Yes. Yes, when the rat is involved, they will find a way to fuck it up. On the video game front. Yes, the video game front. Big news. Don't normally talk about this, but Grand Theft Auto 6
pushed back.
Even though they just released a trailer for it, which boggles my mind, they've pushed it back a full year to May of 2026.
The game itself is done. What they're working on now is the online piece. They're trying to make sure that when it's released, it doesn't crash day one. They want to avoid the Netflix Paul Tyson fight fiasco. So they're making sure everything is going to be perfect for the launch.
There you go. And then, of course, you are a huge fan of the Blues Brothers.
Yes, we have a graphic novel coming out. The Blues Brothers, The Escape of Joliet Jake.
Now, this is supposedly a much larger project than just the graphic novel, as Dan Aykroyd, his family, and the Belushi estate are planning on a quote-unquote universe.
Yes, the Blues Brothers universe is coming. So
that will involve TV series and games and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah. So, Dan Aykroyd's daughter Stella is one of the co-writers, along with Luke Pisano, whose mother was married to John Belushi. So it's the full family collaboration. I kind of like it. I have hopes that they know everything about it. They've been immersed in it for their whole lives. So, as Stella said, she helped ink Elwood on Dan's knuckles before shows. So, they get it, and I hope they do it justice. I have faith that they can pull it off.
Yeah, who's gonna justify that second Blues Brothers movie? Of course, who am I to talk? I never watched the first one.
You've never seen...
I told you this! I've seen bits and pieces. I have never watched the entire movie.
Oh, looks like the new Buicks are in early this year.
Yeah, I saw his Aykroyd's comments about the destruction of cop cars.
Yeah.
We apologize ahead of time to the city of Chicago.
Hut, 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 hut.
And then, of course, finally, before we move on to
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Before we move on to our massive, overblown, glorious movie reviews of the week, we do have to discuss this week's trailers. So we just mentioned Resident Alien. Season 4 of the trailer is out. So, about what I would expect.
Yeah.
Watched it, you know.
Harry has to find his way home.
Yes, and you get your classic moments from Alan Tudyk.
The brilliant
The
Alan
one thing I will
Tudyk.
say about this show, and this is going to make me sound like an old softy, is I do like the casting and the characters and the way all these actors have embraced their roles and how they all get along so well together, and they make you believe that they all care about each other.
Yeah.
They really do.
The casting has really come together.
Yeah. So there's heart there.
Yes.
It's not just stupid raunchy humor.
No.
There's heart there.
There's heart.
So as I get older, as I get closer to death,
The
that
sentimentality.
stuff, yes, I start to get a little weepy about stuff like that. Then you have the trailer for The Long Walk, based on the Stephen King story.
Yep. It's intriguing.
I have
We'll
my doubts.
see.
Because are you really going to want to watch, let's say, bare minimum, an hour and a half?
Oh, come on. It's going to be 2.5 to
There's
45
no way it'll work
minimum.
then. There's no way it works then, based on it's just a bunch of kids walking and who can survive. You can't stretch that out. That's got to be a minimum runtime, hour and a half.
Minimum or max?
Yeah, max, I guess. But it's a tricky concept to try to get audiences to buy into for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to vary. It's not going to change. Even if you watch the trailer, you can tell it's just these kids walking. And yes, of course, they have the various bumps in the road, and there are the images that are very disturbing and harrowing.
Yeah.
But
think about the short story, The Body, that became the movie Stand By Me. That short story into an hour and a half movie.
Much different, though. Much different. Sorry, I can see a vast difference between the two. Then we have, now we talked about the teaser for this a few weeks ago. Now the full trailer is out. This movie's creeping me out. Weapons, this movie looks
See, I've not
disturbing.
seen the trailer for Weapons.
This is the one, again, the teaser's been out there for a while. This is the one where they talk about all these kids at 2:13 in the morning got out of bed, walked out of their house, walked down the road, and disappeared forever.
Oh my.
So you didn't watch the teaser?
I did not see the teaser.
Okay. So that's the premise of the story. And now we learn in the full trailer, okay, all these kids get up in the middle of the night, 2:13 in the morning.
Is this a Pied Piper type deal?
They all were in the same class in school. So the community immediately goes to condemn the teacher, who we just discussed last week. Julia Garner from Wolfman is the teacher. So is she rightfully being persecuted, wrongfully being persecuted? Now, Josh Brolin, who I love, is in this, is one of the fathers. His kid's missing. What is going on here? What sinister force is behind these disappearances? So, this one looks good to me.
This could be good. Could this be one of those surprise, like, Black Phone?
An actual really good, thoughtful, mature horror movie?
Yeah.
Hope so, because we haven't had many of those.
No, they've been few and far between.
So another horror movie we have a trailer for is Together. And this is another one that looks like this could be freaky. A married couple, young married couple, not getting along very well. But there's still some kind of a connection. And I mean literal connection. When they get close together, their body parts want to fuse together.
Oh my.
And it's the little glimpses you get of it are really creepy. Especially when the eyes start to pull together.
Oh, good Lord. Wow.
Yeah.
Nee.
And then the end of the trailer, let's just say there's a butcher knife involved. So Together could be very creepy and interesting as well. And then finally, I know you're going to save season 2 and season 3, rightfully so, to watch together, but the teaser for Squid Game 3 is out.
Yep. So
the one thing that I did not like at the very end of the teaser is you hear a baby. And I'm like, what the hell?
That's disturbing.
Yeah, why is there a baby involved here? But then again, there was a character who was pregnant.
Okay.
In 2. So I'm assuming that's what it was. But I don't know why they would make a big deal about it in the trailer for 3.
Maybe just throwing it out there that, hey, don't forget this is a plot possibility or a plot line.
Yeah, that could be it. All right, so there you go. We've got you all caught up on everything up until our movie reviews. Yes!
Somebody went a little nutsy cuckoo.
The diabolical plot of the Maestro has come full circle. Remember when I didn't have the internet and I had to dig into my repertoire of old DVDs and Blu-rays and CDs.
And now we're paying the price.
You will now pay the price this week as I'm going to play catch up. We're going to review. Now, Dave and I have a movie review. We're going to share. And then next week, two great reviews sharing. We're going to the theater.
Bum, 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 bum.
Next week.
Thunderbolts.
The New Avengers.
Thunderbolts.
The New Avengers.
The New Avengers.
Thunderbolts.
We could do this all day, kids.
And then, of course, we will also review Black Bag.
Black Bag.
Yes, which I couldn't get to this week. But Dave and I did both review Havoc on Netflix. Brand new action movie featuring Tom Hardy, Timothy Olyphant, and Forrest Whitaker. The director is Gareth Evans, who is known for The Raid. I think a couple of those movies.
Yeah.
Which high octane. Let's look at movie genres before we review this movie in particular.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to broach the question as we get into this that I saw. I think it was on Yahoo. One of the headlines on there is it a movie or is it content?
That's a great. I thought video game.
The opening sequence, the chase sequence, was a video game cutscene. Nick and I both, my son and I both agree.
Watching this movie.
That was a video game cutscene.
Watching this movie, all I could think was, this is a video game.
Yeah. It's a video game cutscene, the opening chase.
The whole movie is.
Well, yeah.
The whole movie
has a video game feel, but that opening chase scene, it's a cutscene in between what you're doing.
Okay,
and not well done.
So here's where I'm going with this. I have never been a huge fan, even though I know it's very influential when it comes to a lot of the movies that we've seen here in America recently. John Wick comes to mind. Now again, Gareth Evans was he's regarded very well in the action front for The Raid Redemption. These movies, these action movies that have been around for years and years, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but Asian action cinema. We got Chow Yun-fat, who came over from that. Now, Jackie Chan really didn't do this type of stuff. We're talking about the ultra-violent,
yes.
Sonny Chiba, Chow Yun-fat type of movies that started off overseas in the Far East, and then that mentality, that aesthetic came over here. Bullet Train was very good in how it portrayed it.
Right.
But it had a cohesive plot, very interesting characters.
The acting was good.
Yes. Havoc is probably the worst.
Yes.
Of this genre.
Oh my God, you have 3 great actors in this.
Yes. Wasted. There is no character development.
No,
none.
They're all just. They all are going through the
They're
motion.
ciphers. The characters don't exist for any other reason than to shoot or be shot.
Right. It's bad, and the acting is awful. They don't even portray the characters
I wouldn't
well.
say the acting is bad. They're not given anything to do.
There's that, but they're just kind of there. They're just kind of reciting the lines. There's not a whole lot. Even the interaction between Hardy and Whitaker, and then Hardy and Oliphant. It's just,
No, I agree. But I'm not blaming the actors because the actors are too damn good. The problem is they're stuck in this
The
mess.
script sucks.
Yes, it's supposed to be
The
this
directing
atmospheric,
sucks.
violent mess. And this is the aesthetic that they're going for here. And it
not well
feels like a
done.
video game. It's not realistic because you and I know, you more so than me, but we've watched enough westerns, enough action movies. There is no reality here. These
No.
people are shooting 50 bullets out of a 6-shot gun.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's just how much gore and blood and guts can we put out there
in a quick time frame.
and claim it's
An
this
action flick.
this wonderfully aesthetic, chaos, this bloody action. It's not good.
No,
it's not good at all. And
it's very disappointing.
it's depressing is what it is. If this is what action movies are becoming,
We're in trouble.
yeah. John Wick, you had character development. You had a little bit more of the choreography in terms of the fight scenes. Again, Havoc is indeed its name. Havoc is all it is.
At least in John Wick, the guns run out of bullets. You have to exchange clip and everything else.
Yeah.
You don't see that here.
Rarely. I think I saw it
couple
once
of
or
times.
twice.
A couple
but
of
for
times
the amount
is
of
it.
bullets that fly
That are
in this
flying-
movie,
No.
There's not enough
I mean,
realistic
my God.
reloading.
Ellie, the female cop, how many frickin' times did she fire that shotgun?
Yep. And again, character development is non-existent here.
Yeah.
We're supposed to feel bad because movie starts basically with Tom Hardy's character being the dedicated cop that he is. Okay. Buying the cheapest, easiest crap he can for his daughter for Christmas.
Because he's a deadbeat dad.
Right.
Now, because he screwed up. He's not a sympathetic character.
That's the most character development you get from any of these characters in the entire movie. And it's still pathetic and nothing.
Yeah, it's just... it's content.
It's very interesting that you brought that up. I
thought the timing was perfect on it because there's so much stuff to watch. What time do you have to watch things? And then you have all these made-for-streaming movies. Are they really developed movies?
Have we
or are
gotten
they
to the
just
point
thrown out there?
Have we gotten to the point where, with the limited attention span that younger generations have now, character development doesn't matter because it takes too long to actually invest in a character?
I don't know because I have 2 early 20-year-olds. The youngest watched this with me and bailed after 20 minutes.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
Because there's no character development.
And I know you've exposed him to great cinema, so I know you've raised him right when it comes to that. And I know my daughter, despite the fact she has some bizarre thoughts about movies, she'd look at this like this was an absolute piece of garbage, too.
What the hell is this?
Yeah. But yet, I think
anybody who has half a brain knows this is not a good movie.
And I think this story you brought up is perfect. Content. I say video game. They say content. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think
is
we're
it
looking
content or is it a real movie? This is not a real movie. This is content.
Yeah. Because you didn't bother to give us characters to actually care about, but we're supposed to somehow care about who gets shot and who doesn't. No, they're all cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Every single character in this movie is cannon fodder.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I'm going to say. I will, because of...
The cast?
No, not the cast. Because of the non-stop action, and some of the scenes are well choreographed, I will give it a week 2 Frenzies. Still not even close to recommend.
No, this is not recommendable at all. I can't go as low as a 1.5. Part of me wants to, but I really can't. So you're right there at the weakest 2 possible.
I think weakest 2. Yeah, this is the worst example of hopefully... I'm hoping this is not where cinema's going.
God help us if it is.
But again, if you look at the genre, the ultra-violent Japanese, Chinese action movies, and they've been around for decades, where,
but we've seen others that have been
brutal carnage.
It is. But some of them are well done.
Right, especially Chow Yun-fat, the ones he was in before he came over.
Yeah,
The Corruptor, Hard Boiled are legendary.
Yeah.
But they at least had a little bit of something to them. Outside of this, like you said, the content, I say the video game. Yeah, I could almost see...
It was a video game feel right from the get-go with that chase scene.
And everybody, we can't shoot somebody 1 or 2 times. We have to shoot everybody 15 times.
Yeah. Why are you... You shot somebody. You know you're under attack from dozens of people. Why are you emptying one clip into one person?
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense whatsoever. No sense. It was disheartening. In many ways, a very depressing movie.
Yeah, it was.
Especially given who was in it.
Yeah, the trailer looked good.
Yeah.
Misleading as all hell.
Yep. Well, trailers are supposed to be advertising.
Right.
They're supposed to suck you in.
Yeah, and unfortunately...
It did.
It did.
All right. You ready? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 movie reviews.
Let's wrap it up, baby.
All right, let's start off with another bullet I took for the team. Now, your Uncle Dave and I were talking about also watching Black Bag. We'll get to that next week. Uncle Dave has already watched it, but I was already...
Committed?
Yeah.
Should be
committed? I should be committed for finishing Babygirl.
Why?
Remember when I reviewed Anora a few weeks ago? And told you how bad Anora was?
Yeah.
And that was the movie that won the Best Picture award at the Oscar with all the nudity and the sex.
In the first half.
And Mikey Madison slapping her cooch and, And Babygirl supposed to be this sexual little thing. Remember when we were growing up? Here's what I came up with watching this. And I had not thought of this movie in decades. Remember 9.5 Weeks?
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke
and Kim Basinger.
This wants to be 9.5 Weeks and fails miserably.
Oof.
Okay? At least there were moments in 9.5 Weeks that were a little bit of a turn on.
Yeah.
There is nothing about Babygirl that is sexy. It's a disturbing, weird waste of time. It is worse than Anora.
Oof. Wow.
I'm putting this out there right now. Half a frenzy.
All right.
Half a frenzy. That's how bad it is.
There you go, kids. Avoid Babygirl, the debacle starring Nicole Kidman.
Right. The only person that comes out of this movie redeeming himself in any way, shape, or form is Antonio Banderas as the husband, who's got to sit by and be subjected to humiliation. His wife telling him, "I've never came with you my entire life." Meanwhile, she's lapping milk out of a saucer like a cat for this young intern who has no appeal whatsoever. This is not a guy who exudes sexual charisma.
In any way, shape, or
They
form.
just throw these two together out of the clear blue. She's sexually repressed. He just happens to be a swinging dick. So she's like, let me go fuck the intern for a while. Then, of course, people find out, and she starts getting blackmailed.
There you go.
And it just goes nowhere. It's stupid. It's embarrassing for everybody involved. And at the end, they actually imply, because the intern ends up moving off to another job, but they show him in a hotel room training a dog. And they're basically implying he was training Nicole Kidman like a dog. With the saucer. This is why they've been talking, milk. Babygirl, this whole milk thing's really sexy.
No.
No, it's weird, it's perverted, and it's disgusting. There's nothing sexy about it. And even Nicole Kidman looks old, and there's not a lot of nudity, there's not a lot of sex in the movie. And what little you get, you feel embarrassed for her. You know? Parts of her look really good. Parts of her look like a mid-late 60s-year-old woman. And you're like, okay, cover it up, baby. Cover it up. So stay away from that. Now, let's go back in time to some good movies. Some good movies. As your Uncle Kev wraps up his no internet month.
DVD extravaganza.
Yes. So we have 4 good movies. I got Blair Witch out of the way. That was one of the bad ones I watched. These 4 that I have left are all good. Now, one of them I watched with my daughter. She was in town. She said, Dad, I know I promised I'd watch a movie with you. I've got to leave to go back home to Georgia in the morning, so it's got to be a short movie. So I had to pull one out that I could. So I had to find one that was under an hour and a half. So I came up with Bad Words, which of course stars the great Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman plays a bitter middle-aged man who somehow finds a loophole and works his way into the national spelling bee competition among the 12 and the 11 and the 10-year-olds. Now, the motivation for this eventually comes to light, but in the meantime, he ends up, despite the fact he's unbelievably bitter and rude beyond all belief, ends up becoming friends with one of these young kids. And then, of course, gets screwed. So, it does have darker moments, but...
As do most Jason Bateman movies.
It's still very good. It's a very... I would say, watching it now, probably the 3rd or 4th time, it loses a little bit. It becomes a little bit too cutesy.
Yeah.
With his friendship with the young kid. It's not as edgy.
It's a one-time watch, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's still good. Even on the 3rd or 4th watch, I still give it 3 frenzies.
All right.
Then I want to discuss my favorite cartoon comic book character of all time, the Punisher. How dare anybody, and I love John Bernthal as the Punisher, the current Punisher in the Marvel Universe. Ray Stevenson is the Punisher to me. I watch Punisher Warzone again. God, I love that movie. God, I love that movie so much. Yes, despite his little Met collar thing, outside of that, he is the Punisher. They filmed that movie perfectly. They filmed it in comic book colors. They made it basically...
It was the perfect comic book movie.
Yes, they made it a straight adaptation of the Garth Ennis Punisher series from probably the early 90s, I think.
Yeah.
But Ray Stevenson is brilliant as the Punisher. God rest his soul. Love him as the Punisher. He is my favorite Punisher. And I looked on IMDb today. How dare you idiots out there rate Thomas Jane's movie, The Punisher, higher than Warzone?
Oh, hell no. No.
Warzone is so much better.
Warzone is a hell of a lot better.
With Jigsaw, the scene alone where he throws Jigsaw into the recycling bin with all the bottles to scar his face up to make him Jigsaw. And we had to use some horse hide to put your face back together again. Just brilliant.
It was so good.
You got to take it for what it is.
The version was way too tame.
Yes. Punisher Warzone, the best Punisher movie out there, 3.5 frenzies. You got to take it for what it is. It is a straight-on comic book movie.
It's the most pure comic book adaptation you can find.
Between the colors, the way it's filmed, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The Road Warrior. Had to rewatch The Road Warrior.
Just walk away.
The Ayatollah of rock and roller.
Humongous.
You could tell I needed with no internet. I needed some pick-me-ups here, so I was watching my all-time favorites. So I brought out The Road Warrior, and everything about this movie. This movie does not. It's still low budget. You can tell it's low budget, but it's not a knock. There's no way I can say anything bad about this movie.
No, this movie has aged well.
The themes in it,
still
fighting oppression, fighting the bullies,
post-apocalyptic
redemption.
Yep.
For Mad Max doesn't want anything to do with people. All he wants is to survive.
Just leave me alone. I'm tired of being disappointed in my life.
And then he gets sucked into this community with the feral boy and the helicopter dude.
Yep.
This movie is still... you and I went to go see Fury Road together.
Yeah.
And we were amazed by Fury Road
Fury
and how great
Road
that
was very good.
And Furiosa was phenomenal.
Furiosa was very good.
I will still say...
Nothing tops The Road Warrior.
No. Fury Road is second.
Yes.
But The Road Warrior is by far the best Mad Max movie.
Absolutely.
4 frenzies. That will never change. The Road Warrior will always be one of the greatest movies ever made. 4 frenzies.
Yes.
So, we're going to wrap up my little soliloquy here. I was not in a good place Friday night. Last Friday night, I was not. I was depressed. I was not feeling good. And I said, what can I do to pick myself up? And not go in the back garage and hang myself.
Oh, good Lord, man.
I said, can I...
This is a cry for help, kids.
Should I listen to Van Halen? Because that's my go-to. Should I put on a Van Halen album? No. I am going to pull out one of my tried, trusty, true pick-me-up movies to get me through the night. And it did. And I loved every second of it. And this is probably the 10th, 11th time I've watched the movie. Hot Tub Time Machine.
There you go.
Which reminds me of growing up in the 80s and all the great things that came along with it. The hedonism, the friendship, having each other's...
music.
Yes. Everything about that movie. That movie gets better every time I watch it. Because I pick up more and more things, more and more details that I'd forgotten the time previously when I watched it. You're the violator! You kept a shoebox that said Cincinnati on it? And I still want to know what
happened in Cincinnati. That should have been Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Going back to Cincinnati. We need the storyline, damn it.
And a great scene at the end with Lou saying, "I'm not going back. I'm good here.
This is me.
And
My life sucked back there."
And John Cusack saying that I'm not going either. Because you're my friend and I'm staying with you. And he's like, that's all I needed to hear. And then pushes him in.
Yep.
To make sure he goes back. That, fuck the critics. That is a moment.
Absolutely.
To me, that moment
that solidifies
is better,
the friendship.
That moment is better than 90% of the shit I've seen in Best Picture nominees. In terms of emotion, in terms of true human connection.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got Chevy Chase. Are you ready to go back, young lady? What the fuck does that mean? We need to get the Chernobyl. Then, of course, we're going to see Thunderbolts on Monday with the great Sebastian Stan, who is in this as Blaine. There is just nothing about this movie not to love. Nothing about it.
Hot Tub Time Machine is one of the best
pregnant.
movies.
I don't care what anybody thinks. This is arguably the greatest comedy of all time.
It is awesome.
The music, like you said, everything about it. Picked me up, got me out of a dark place.
Come on, when's he going to lose his arm?
Yeah, Crispin Glover, awesome beyond belief. Awesome beyond belief. And he ends up saving the day.
Yeah.
When they're all going to slide off the roof.
Yep.
Just, this is between me and my wife, motherfucker! Get off the phone, Jerry! If you have never watched Hot Tub Time Machine, shame on you.
Sup, dog?
What are you doing now?
Well, yeah. Well, I've got my hand up your dog's ass.
I will forgive you for never, ever watching the second one, but I will never forgive any of you out there for never, if you have never watched the first one.
You have. It is must watch.
It is classic. It's still, to me, the greatest comedy of the last 30 years. Now, we can go back to the 80s and debate Caddyshack and Bachelor Party and all those. Animal House.
This is kind of an homage to those.
Yep. Yep.
In a more non-raunchy way.
And then you get the romance with John Cusack and Lizzie Kaplan meeting the one you were meant to be with and how it all works out in the end.
Instead of getting a fork in the eye.
Jenny Steinmeier! You get fat and you get trucker hips! I do not get fat!
Oh, God.
I love it so much. It is with those classic 80s and 70s comedies. Quotable beyond all belief.
Yep. Oh, so good.
Yep. This is a desert island movie for me.
It's like Gary Coleman's forearm.
It's so black. I know that squirrel. I'm telling. Sorry,
God.
You had to indulge me on that. And now I promise you, kids, that we are all done with my month-long recap. We are now back up to speed. I have given you all my reviews for all my movies that I watched when I didn't have the internet. And the one I would recommend, of course, is Hot Tub Time Machine.
Above any others.
Yes.
Followed by Mad Max.
Yes, The Road Warrior.
Those are your two. Yes, sorry, The Road Warrior.
Those are your two frenzy classics you cannot dismiss. You must watch. And they are two of my top 15 movies of all time. Easily. Easily. So that's why I went back and revisited them.
There you go.
So next week we will be back on schedule, and we'll do our normal new movies with our occasional
story time.
But we'll go back to having a reason.
This has been a major story time, losing the internet.
Yes. I admit a couple of them were not. Bad Words was because of my daughter.
Right. But that's a story
Hot
time.
Tub Time Machine was because I was about ready to hang myself, so that's okay. I'm joking, Dave! I'm joking. Hopefully we'll do this again next week.
Intervention coming, kids.
No, we just bought tickets to go see Rat. Are you kidding me? Does a man who's going to hang himself do that? No.
No.
No. No. Dave and I are going to see Warren DeMartini and Stephen Piercy.
Damn it.
The remnants of Rat. So we'll have that review for you coming up later this summer. We're putting together...
The summer concerts are coming together slowly.
Yes, they are.
So, it's all lining up well.
And we're trying to avoid giving our money to the corrupt Live Nation venues as much as we can.
Yes.
Hearing all these terrible, awful stories about... Again, I am not saying this is 100% gospel. I told Dave this already.
There's rumblings out there that our former favorite outdoor Live Nation venue is going to be going with dynamic pricing at the concession stands. The older the crowd, the more expensive the items.
Bullshit.
God help us if that's true. That's fucking ridiculous.
And I'm telling you, I'm seeing a lot of negative feedback. A lot of negative feedback. Because the people that I heard this from are the ones that used to be the lawn pass posse or whatever they called themselves.
Yeah, the lawn peeps.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the ones, there are no lawn passes anymore. Of course, you're supposed to pay for parking, you're supposed to pay for chair rental, you can't bring your own chair in. And the lineup this year is just abysmal.
It's not a good lineup.
No. So I think they look at if these idiots in charge actually care about the music, they look at how the tickets are not selling for these shows. They're going to get a little worried.
Yeah, they need to.
All right, moments of silence. One big, massive moment of silence here. Ruth Buzzy.
Oh, I know.
From Laugh-In. Laugh-In, of course, was a show that I think you and I were both barely old enough to remember. But it lived on. The legend
of... Oh, the legend of Laugh-In.
Rowan and Martin and Goldie Hawn. And, of course, Ruth Buzzy.
Artie Shaw.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yep. Yeah, Laugh-In was a comedy legend.
Ahead of its time.
Yep.
They did their goofy future predictions, one of which was Ronald Reagan would be president of the United States.
It was a wild, crazy show. Very wild, very crazy show. Again, like I said, even as old as Dave and I are, it's still a little tiny bit ahead of our time.
But we got to see the reruns, and God, it was funny as hell.
Ruth Buzzy was great. In a way, it was kind of a precursor to SNL.
Yeah. Yeah, because you had Laugh-In and the Smothers Brothers Variety.
Yep.
Those were the two precursors, and you could almost say Sonny and Cher led into SNL.
What became SNL, yeah. Yep. So, Ruth Buzzy, you look up, I'm sure there's some of her clips and skits on YouTube.
God,
look it up.
Dressed up as the cleaning lady.
The hairnet. Oh my God. The hairnet is indelible.
Oh
in
my
pop
God.
culture history.
I hear the name Ruth Buzzy and I picture her in the hairnet with the mop and like the house coat.
Yep, exactly. All right, so rest in peace to the great Ruth Buzzy. Now we have to do what, Dave?
It's time to pivot. Who of these candidates will be our Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week, winning the golden boot up the ass?
Now, I have to admit, these are three very, very different dumbasses. So you're going to have to bear with me here. These are ranging from the disgusting to the mildly offensive.
And this is stuff that we bring to you on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise, of course, known as iHeartRadio. Do not forget to check out the Facebook page.
And on Thursdays, the Sports Edition drops your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary. All right, on to this week's slate of dumbass candidates.
Okay, now we are going to, again, this coming Monday, contribute to the coffers of Disney and Marvel as we go to see Thunderbolts.
God, it kills me, but this actually looks like it could be good.
Now, their TV shows on Disney Plus, the Marvel shows, have left something to be desired. I wish I had watched The Winter Soldier and The Falcon. Because I feel like I need a little bit of that background for this. But I did watch a few years ago, around Thanksgiving, it was Hawkeye. We had short series featuring Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. It wasn't bad. It was obviously, again, Disney-fied, where he was trying to pass the torch to a young girl.
Of course.
Which I believe was Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's fiance.
Yeah.
So now we know what happened after that with Jeremy Renner, and he had that terrible snowplow accident.
Right.
Almost died. So Jeremy Renner is putting out his memoirs, his autobiography, I believe, coming out soon. And he, in there, mentions the fact that Marvel, Disney, came to him. Hey, how do you feel about doing season 2 of Hawkeye? Yeah, sure, why not? I enjoy the character.
Yeah.
I've invested a lot of time in it. So, okay, we're only going to pay half of what we paid you for season 1.
Yeah. What a slap in the face.
And of course, he had the great response. I don't know if he actually said it out loud, but in the book at least, he says, so do you assume that because I was in that snowplow accident, I'm half the man I was? Yeah.
Yeah. No. He didn't even want a raise. He said he wanted what he got from season 1.
He would have taken the same pay rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they offered him half, which is absolute bullshit.
Which tells me that Disney does not take this stuff seriously.
Yeah.
It's all about the bottom line and cost cutting and what they can get away with as cheaply as they possibly can.
Yep.
But again, I'm with you. I think Thunderbolts could be really good.
It's got that vibe.
Because Deadpool and Wolverine was awesome. You know, if you get the right people
who can bully the rat into letting them do what they want to do.
Right.
Actually, I shouldn't say bully the rat. Fight back against the bullying rat to do what they want to do. Because the rat is the big bully on the block.
Well, and you would hope that they have finally realized that after the Snow White debacle, where they lost hundreds of millions of dollars, that they need to dial all this crap down and just go back to making good movies, whether it's Marvel, Star Wars, or their own.
Stop pushing the PC agenda.
Yeah. All right. So I don't want. I want to end on a lighter note. So we're gonna go dark here for a minute for our second, because we've got 3 total nominees, and this is just sad because this is a legendary musician, Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson being sued, him and his wife, for $50 million for allegedly sexually abusing 4 former housekeepers.
Oof.
From 2007 through last year, 2024. And there is graphic detail in the lawsuit of what happened. And it's not good.
No, not good at all. And when you have that level of detail, that's
and we talked about this
disturbing.
On the sports edition, I believe, this past week. It's the thing that's tough to deal with is that you're doing this through civil court. You're not doing this through criminal court. Now, this one, if this really is true, that this goes all the way up through last year, you can't tell me the statute of limitations has expired.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. Not on.
So why not throw their asses in jail? Get them off the streets.
Because it's easier to prove in a civil than it is criminal.
Is. You're right. It is. It is. And but that's disgusting to me.
It is. That's one of the major problems with our justice system.
You know, and the victims will say I'm not degrading or disparaging what they're saying. They always say we're scared of losing our livelihood. We're scared of, in this case, losing immigration status.
Yeah.
But you, as a favor to every single person on this fucking earth, need to put these scumbags behind bars.
Call it out. If this is
Don't
really
wait 20 years.
If this
Don't
is
wait
really
30
what
years.
happened, then they need to go away.
Yeah. We might talk about this next week.
Because we always say we hate to jump to conclusions. Because so many times we've seen false accusations.
The Duke lacrosse scandal comes to mind. And
but again, when you have a certain level of detail and documentation, things coming through, then the scale starts to tip.
Yeah. And we didn't discuss this on the sports edition this past week. Maybe next week. But news also broke today, as we tape on May the 7th, that legendary LA Lakers player Byron Scott is being accused, and he's being sued for something that supposedly happened in the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
And again, I go, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but why did it take so long?
Why is it almost 40 years? Almost 40 years for this to come to light. Really?
And I have issues with that. I do. And I'm not saying I always stick up for the victims. When I hear somebody is dragging out somebody who's been accused and convicted of killing somebody, and they're dragging out the process, I'm always the first one to say, fry their ass. Get them in the electric chair, inject them. I don't need that person in this world anymore.
Right.
Because what are you doing to the victim's family? What are you doing to the mothers, the fathers, the husbands, the wives? You're prolonging their agony and making it even worse for them. But in the opposite situation, you think your life is fine, you think your life's going well, and then 40 years later somebody says, oh, yeah, I think you sexually assaulted me, so I'm going to sue you for everything you're worth. Why didn't you come forward when it happened? And I get tired, and I know the women's groups out there are going to be mad at me for saying this, but why don't you come forward and say, this scumbag assaulted me, this scumbag raped me, put him behind bars until the day he fucking dies? Instead of going, well, no, I really don't want to. I'm worried about losing my job. Come on!
What's more important?
Again, you've got to look at the bigger picture. Get the scumbags off.
If it happened to you, prevent it from happening to somebody else.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you.
If you see something, say something.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Because when do you become responsible for the next victim? If you don't report it. If you don't stop it. When do you become responsible for the next victim? And then you become complicit in what happens later. All right, so finally, like I said, let's get away from the serious stuff. Well, this is pretty serious. Dave, we had our first ever sperm race.
Oh, God. Yes, we did.
In an effort to promote in vitro fertilization and male fertility. Of course, this had to happen in California.
Of course it did.
For a $10,000 prize, we had somebody from USC battling somebody from UCLA. Their samples under a microscope, and then, of course, projected for the world to see on a screen on Google.
So fucking stupid.
$1 million were raised for this cause. It was a 17-year-old's idea. Then, of course, USC, the Trojan, won over UCLA.
Now, shouldn't the Trojan have been stopped in its tracks?
What about spermicide?
Oh, God,
is this where we've gone as a society?
That's awfully stupid. My God.
Sperm racing. I remember the good old days of crab racing.
Not those crabs. I gotta go with that.
Yeah.
The sperm racing is the dumbass of the week.
Yeah, this is another example of how low we have sunk as a society. That now sperm racing has become a thing. Sperm racing. My boys can swim! And people actually donated $1 million to this?
So bad. God, we had a good 250-year run, didn't we?
I've always said, every society collapses. The Roman Empire, arguably the greatest civilization of all time, didn't last. Why do we think we're going to? Seriously. Just end it all.
Look on social media. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go, kids. Sperm racing is your unquestioned dumbass of the week.
Oh, Lord.
That's your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev.
We hope you enjoyed your weekend edition. I hope we got you through your Saturday morning hangover. And we'll do it again for you next weekend.
It's a service we provide.
Once again, we will review Black Bag, Thunderbolts, Counting Crows, Mammoth, Hap and Leonard, Poker Face.
Poker Face, I hardly know her.
Well, again, from what I've heard, she might not want you to Poker Face.
And there you go.
Then, of course, we will wrap up Season 2 of Tracker as well. But until then, say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.